My name is Suleiman Abdukari. I represent Kaduna North. I move that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 16th December 2020 be adopted and approved. I so move, distinguished colleagues.
Senator Christopher Stephen Epeon.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Christopher Stephen Epeon, representing the good people of Akwa Ibom Northwest in Akwa Ibom State. Mr. President, I rise to second that the vote and proceedings of Wednesday, 16 December 2020 be adopted. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 16 December 2020 be approved, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 16 December 2020 shall be approved. Petitions. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the School of Mines and Geological Studies, Akoko Edo Establishment Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, School of Mines and Geological Studies at Akoko Edo Establishment Bill 2020 SB 441, first reading.
School of Mines and Geological Studies, Akoko Edo Establishment Bill 2020 HB 441, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of our bill saying in the name of distinguished Senator Umar Sadiq Suleiman on the State of the Nation Address Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, State of the Nation Address Bill 2020 SB 606, first reading.
State of the Nation Address Bill 2020 SB 606, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill saying in the name of distinguished Senator Obasani on the Nigerian Police Act 2020 Amendment Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigerian Police Act 2020 Amendment Bill 2020 SB 593, first reading.
Nigerian Police Act Amendment Bill 2020 SB 593, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill staying in the name of distinguished Senator Francis Ali Makena on the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission Act Cap R7 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Amendment Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission Act Cap R7 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2020 SB 613, first reading.
Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission Act Cap R7 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2020, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Ibikule Amosun on the Local Industry Patronage Bill 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Local Industry Patronage Bill 2020 SB 614, first reading.
Local Industry Patronage Bill 2020 SB 614, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Power on the confirmation of the nominations of the following parties for appointment as Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Area Development Commission. The nominees are as follows. Honorable Etiaf Joseph Tarfa, Benue, Chairman. Mala Abubakar Sadiq Ahmed Elwa, KB, Managing Director. Alhaji Isa Ozi Salami, OFR, Kogi, Member. Engineer Tawhid Daoud Toyin, Kwara, Member. Hon Mikhail Alamin Bimito Sahi, Niger, Member. Dr. Salih Muhammad Galadima Kanam, Plateau, Member. Engineer Aminu Muhammad Ganda, Sokoto, Member. Barrister Utum Ibi Eken, Cross River, Member. The single senators will recall that the request of the President Commander-in-Chief was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 25th November 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Gabriel Suswam, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the report.
Senator Gabriel Suswam.
Mr. President, my name is Dr. Gabriel Suswam. Honorable colleagues, I rise to move a motion for the confirmation of the nomination for appointment as the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Area Development Commission as requested by Mr. President. Mr. President, I so move.
Nobody you say you want to join the PC. Now them they nominate this thing. Huh? What are you talking about? But at least they put somebody from South. the last person, they put somebody from Sambisa place.
I need a second, please. The Senior Senator, okay, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, Jeff, I represent Benue Northwest. I rise to second the motion assembly moved by Senator Susan. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive the report of our committee on power, say aye. Those receive and consider the report of our committee on power, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, lead the report, please. Present the report.
Mr. President, once again.
Chairman, this report, I think you can give us a summary. Okay.
Mr. President, once again, Dr. Gabriel Suswam, Benue Northeast. Mr. President, we recall that on the 25th of November 2020, Mr. President sent a letter to this chamber requesting
for the confirmation of the following nominees as Chairman and Member Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Area Development Commission. The names of the nominee are attached, Mr. President. I don't need to read them, or should I go ahead and read them?
You may not have to read them.
Act 2018 as amended, which requires appointment of persons to the office of Chairman, Managing Director, members of the Governing Council. By the order of the Senate, dated 25th November 2020, Mr. President, request was referred to the Committee on Power for the appropriate thing to be done. Mr. President, I would like to go to page 14 for the findings and observations of the committee. Page 14.
Sorry, go ahead.
Mr. President, I finished the introduction. I've gone to page 14. You can go to page 14 of the report, which deals with the findings and observations of the committee. The committee findings ascertain that these nominees are qualified to hold the positions ascribed to them on the following council, on the Governing Council. That is one. Mr. President, two, that the screened nominees are well qualified and have relevant experience to be appointed as Chairman, Managing Director, and members of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Area Development Commission. Three, that the nominees were articulate in their responses to questions raised during the screening exercise. Mr. President, there were two petitions. There was a petition against the nominee from Kwara and the nominee from Kogi State. After very exhaustive and comprehensive check, the committee found that the petition was baseless and of no consequence to the exercise in question. And so those petitions were summarily dismissed. A letter was also sent by the Oba of Jeba from Kwara, paying solidarity and recommending highly the nominee from Kwara. That we received security checks from DSS and the police, and all the security checks on these nominees were positive. The committee resolution, Mr. President, on page 15. Having considered the nominee curriculum vitae and other relevant documents in addition to exhaustive interaction and deliberations, the committee was unanimous as to the experience, exposure, performance, qualification, competence, and integrity of the nominees as required by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, and found them suitable for confirmation as Chairman, Managing Director, members of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Area Development Commission, HABEDEC. Recommendation. Having carefully screened and thoroughly scrutinized the nominees' credentials and being satisfied with their responses, the Senate Committee on Power hereby recommend that the Senate do confirm that the listed person as Chairman, Managing Director, members of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Area Development Commission. One, Honorable Tefa Joseph Chow, as chairman of the Governing Council, Malam Abubakar Sadiq Yewa as managing director of the council, of the commission, Alhaji Isa Uzi Salami, member, Engineer Tahir Dawood Toyin, member, Han Mikael A. Bimsache, member, Dr. Saleh Mohammed Galadima Kanem, member, Engineer Aminu Mohammed Ganda, member, Chief Barrister Etum Eteng, member. Prayers. It's only one prayer, Mr. President. That the Senate do consider the report of the committee and approves its recommendation. Mr. President, there's also submit.
Point of order. Who is raising point of order? Who is okay, Senator Fanya?
Mr. President,
which order, please? Okay, order 43. No, you should read the order, please. No, use the mic.
okay. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, the Senator may make a personal explanation, although there may not be question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought.
Okay, I want you to consider the latter part of that order. That the terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. Distinguished Senator Fanyuba, you know you didn't, just hold on please, you didn't discuss anything with me. And I don't know what it is you are going to say. It could be a controversial thing.
Well, Mr. President, it's not a controversial thing, it's a constitutional issue. A constitutional issue.
But you should have approached me to discuss with me so that I can make that judgment.
I'm sorry.
Okay, this time I will allow you.
President, my name is Senator Fanya, representing the good people of Anambra South. I'm the senator from Southeast of Nigeria. Mr. President, I want to draw the attention of the Senate and the names that were being nominated for this important commission. Mr. President, Anambra State boasts to be the second largest depositor of gas in the country, natural gas, and I don't think a state like Anambra or Southeast should be omitted in this commission.
Distinguished Senator Ifanyuba, just hold on a bit. Just hold on, please. Just hold on. I want to remind you that this is hydroelectric power producing areas.
Anambra produces owns the largest, second largest producer of natural gas.
No, it's, oh my God. Distinguished. Distinguished. Distinguished, please let me guide you a bit. No. I'll have to guide you first. I need to guide you. You may sit down, then I guide you, please. You will still talk. First of all, this is hydroelectric power producing areas development commission, HYPADEC. Anambra, you said, is endowed with gas. Thank you very much, but gas is fuel, is fossil fuel. Secondly, this particular commission is established by law. These things that you see are in the act. If you want Anambra to be a member of the council, bring an amendment for the act to reflect that. So I think we should save our time because there is nothing we can do about what you are saying now. You can't include Anambra even if you talk. Thank you. Your last word, please.
Your position, but I'm not saying just Anambra, Mr. President. I mentioned Southeast, but I'm giving a reference from Anambra gas deposit, not on hydro. But if you go to the Southeast, you will be surprised, Mr. President, to understand that we have abundance of hydropower in the entire Southeast. And looking at this commission, it is very, very important that a member representing Southeast is included in order to represent a face of federal character.
Thank you very much. Because you have come under order 43, you know it's not something that other senators can contribute to. But my advice remains, if you want Anambra or Southeast to be reflected, bring an amendment to the act establishing the HYPADEC. Thank you very much, and your point of order is noted. Any comments, Senator Smartadane?
Mr. President, I rise on behalf of Kogi West and Entire District. I rise to support the report of the Senate Committee on Power. And I rise to recognize, Mr. President, that the report is detailed, fair, and just. The comment I want to make, Mr. President, is in reference to what the chairman of Power said, that there were petitions on some candidates. I stand to make a clarification that, as far as I know, senators from Kogi State are all in support of Alhaji Isa Ozi Salami, and we are not aware of any petition. And I only stand to say that Alhaji Isa Ozi Salami is a man of proven integrity, a man of great record, and a man who holds the National Merit Award of Officer of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I stand to say the man is a man of honor, and we are all in support of our nominee from Kogi State. I do submit.
Thank you very much. I think the chairman in his presentation said they dismissed the petitions because they lack merit. I think that's just it all. Leader of the Senate, we go to Committee of the Whole.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to a motion for the distinguished chamber to resolve the Committee of the Whole to consider this report.
Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider the report of our Committee on Power, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Approval at this stage. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Itiaf Joseph Tefa as chairman of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Malang Abubakar Sadiq Ahmed Yalwa FCNA as MD of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Alhaji Isa Ozi Salami OFR as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Engineer Tohid Dauda Toyin as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Mikael Alamin Binitosh Sahi as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Dr. Saleh Muhammad Galadima Kanam as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Engineer Amin Muhammad Ganda as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Chief Barrister Utum Umbi Eteng as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move a motion for the chair to report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate reverse to plenary for the chair to report progress, those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Power on the screening of Mr. President's nominees for appointment as the Governing Council as Chairman, MD and members of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC, and approved the nominations of Honorable Itiaf Joseph Tefa, Benue State, as Chairman, Malang Abubakar Sadiq Ahmed Yalwa, KB Managing Director, Alhaji Isa Ozi Salami Ofar, Kogi State Member, Engineer Tohid Dauda Toyin, Kwara Member, Honorable Mikael Alamin Bimito Sai, Niger Member, Dr. Saleh Muhammad Galadima Kanam, Plateau State Member, Engineer Amin Muhammad Ganda Sokoto Member, Chief Barrister Utum Eteng, Cross River State Member, as Chairman, Managing Director and members of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Confirmation. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Itiaf Joseph Tefa as Chairman of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC? Those in favor, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Itiaf Joseph Tefa as Chairman of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Honorable Itiaf Joseph Tefa is hereby confirmed as Chairman of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Malang Abubakar Sadiq Ahmed Yelwa FCNA as the Managing Director of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Malang Abubakar Sadiq Ahmed Yelwa FCNA is hereby confirmed as Managing Director of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Alhaji Isa Ozi Salami OFR as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Alhaji Isa Ozi Salami OFR is hereby confirmed as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Engineer Tawhid Dauda Toyin as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Engineer Tawhid Dauda Toyin is hereby confirmed as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Honorable Mikhail Al-Amin Bimitosai as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Engineer Honorable Mikhail Al-Amin Bimitosai is hereby confirmed as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Dr. Saleh Mohammed Galadima Kanam as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Saleh Mohammed Galadima Kanam is hereby confirmed as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Engineer Amin Mohammed Ganda as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Engineer Aminu Mohammed Ganda is hereby confirmed as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Chief Barrister Utum Ubi Etem as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Chief Barrister Utum Ubi Etem is hereby confirmed as a member of the Governing Council of the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HAPADEC. Congratulations to all of them, and as soon as they are sworn in, they should swing into action. This commission has been in abeyance for a long time. In fact, since the bill was passed by the National Assembly and signed by the President then, this commission was never constituted, and it is very, very important that the commission starts its work in earnest. We wish them the best of luck in their tenure. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the second reading of the National Tea and Coffee Development Council Establishment Bill 2020. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 7th November 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Senator Yusuf.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. My name is Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf. I represent Taraba Central. Actually, it is a tea-producing state of this country. This is the lead debate on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of National Tea and Coffee Development Council to develop tea and coffee, growth, production and marketing and other matters connected therewith. Mr. President, sir, distinguished colleagues, I feel highly honored to lead the debate on the general principles of the bill for an act for the establishment of National Tea and Coffee Development Council to develop tea and coffee growth, production and marketing in Nigeria and other matters connected therewith. Mr. President, sir, this bill was first read in this chamber in November 2019, and its speedy passage will enhance a rapid economic diversification of the agricultural sector, enhance revenue to government and its related impact on the improvement of life of our people in the affected state, both socially and economically. There is no doubt that the passage of this bill will improve the performance and growth of the nation's economy, reduce the overdependence on oil export earnings, so as to further exploit the country's vast agricultural potential. Mr. President, sir, distinguished colleagues, some parts of the country are favorably endowed with suitable climate and soil conditions that could be harnessed for commercial cultivation of coffee, while states like Taraba, Plateau, and Cross River in the south are favorably endowed with the suitable climate and soil conditions that could be harnessed for commercial cultivation of tea, especially around the Mambila, Jos Plateau, and Obudu Ranch. Mr. President, sir, distinguished colleagues, it is regrettable that governments have not made any major impact in terms of active involvement and or participating in tea and coffee growth, production and marketing sectors of the economy. The only government presence in the development of tea production could be placed in the mid-70s when government entered into joint venture with some state governments and private entrepreneurs to set up a tea farm and factory in Taraba State. It is also instructive to observe that the New Nigeria Development Company Limited and the Adamawa State government have since sold their equity shareholding in the above-mentioned tea company, and the only government presence in the coffee development is the establishment of the Coffee Research Institute of Nigeria, with its headquarters in Ibadan, Oyo State, with its branches spread across the country. Mr. President, sir, distinguished colleagues, the East African country of Kenya has for a long time been generating considerable foreign exchange earnings and has become preeminent in the Committee of Nations owing to its aggressive expansion of that country's vast growing potential, which opportunities the areas around Kenya readily provide for Kenyan tea farmers. Nigeria could draw instructive and beneficial lessons from the Kenyan experience. Mr. President, sir, distinguished colleagues, the first step to take towards realizing this aspiration is to put in place a legal framework that would primarily aim at developing and encouraging the growth, manufacturing, processing, and marketing of tea and coffee across the country, with particular emphasis being placed on favorable endowed places with suitable climate and soil conditions that could be harnessed for commercial cultivation of tea and coffee. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the National Tea and Coffee Development Council Bill 2019, which is already before the Senate, seeks to, amongst others, establish an authority that will saddle with the responsibility of assisting farmers to set up outgrowers, tea and coffee factories, and provide some with ready training in the latest tea and coffee technology, as well as supply agricultural inputs in aid of tea and coffee growth and production in Nigeria. Mr. President, sir, the Council, instead of direct investments by entrepreneurs in the current dispensation, will provide the enabling environment for farmers to imbibe the tea and coffee growing as smallholder outgrowers so as to pull them together to set up food entrepreneurship and ultimately own tea and coffee factories in the value chain. The Council will be the catalyst for tea and coffee growth and development by providing technical, managerial, and horticultural extension services, among other things. Mr. President, sir, the above bill also seeks to confer on the National Tea and Coffee Development Authority powers to access funding from surcharges on importation of coffee and tea, and credit and other funding assistance from local multilaterals or international organizations to tea and coffee farmers and also tea and coffee factories. It is expected that with the establishment of the Council under this bill, a new era of reinvigorated tea and coffee production in Nigeria will be enthroned. Mr. President, sir, the tremendous benefits this will have on the local economy of tea and coffee producing areas, employment generation, and by extension, development of other productive sectors such as tourism and wildlife conservation is better imagined. I therefore implore all the distinguished senators to embrace the underlying principles of National Tea Development Agency Bill, which is directed at improving the future of our local farmers, aiming at repositioning our economy and transforming SEM into a diversified and productive agriculturally based economy in line with the current administration economic policy. Only this, Mr. President, sir, I strongly believe has the solution to Nigeria's overdependence on oil earnings. The bill is structured into 6 parts with 24 sessions, Part 1, Session 1 to 5, Part 2, Sessions 6 to 9, Part 3, Sessions 10 to 11, Part 4, Session 12 to 17, and Part 5, Session 19 to 23, Part 6, Session 24. Mr. President, sir, distinguished colleagues, I urge you all to support the second reading of this bill. I so move.
Senator Smarter.
Your Excellency, I rise to support this bill. In supporting this bill, Mr. President, I want to put on record that this is perhaps the third bill or fourth bill that is aimed at pointing to us the need to diversify our economy. Looking at some North African countries and Central East Africa, what they earn from series of well packaging of the tea products and coffee. In this country, we have since forgotten that there was a time in the history of our nation that granules, cocoa, coffee were the mainstay of our economy. They were since have been abandoned due to the oil boom. The reality staring us at our faces in this generation is the need for us to start thinking of how to diversify our economy. More importantly, now that the world is talking about renewable energy, less fuel, a lot of campaign on climate change, all these are issues pointing to nations like Nigeria that is a mono economy of the need for us to diversify and look at other means of generating foreign exchange. And I think, Mr. President, any bill that is aimed at providing job opportunities for our teeming, unemployed, educated, highly enterprising youth, I think it deserves all our support. This bill should be given all the support that is required, and I think more so, more importantly too, is for this bill to be passed into law. We have a large army of unemployed youth, and we have resources apart from oil that are good enough
to sustain our economy. Indeed, more than the oil sector. Just yesterday, Mr. President, somebody was telling me that a barrel of honey is far more expensive than a barrel of crude oil. There are so many resources that we have not tapped in our nation. Like I said 2 days ago, tuber of yam. Yam production, Mr. President. Ghana produces 15% of tuber yam in the world. 5% of this tuber yam comes from Nigeria. Nigeria is the highest producer of tuber yams in the world, but we earn no $1 from it. So, Mr. President, this bill deserves our support. It's a bill that will help to improve our foreign exchange earning. It will provide job opportunity, and above all, we'll be able to compete in the global economy of tea and coffee. And I think too, Mr. President, it's not out of place to put on record that the first 25-story building in Nigeria, which was constructed in Ibadan, was produced, came from the foreign exchange of coffee, cocoa. So I think we must do all that we can. When groundnut was selling, when we are producing groundnut in the north, carry down was part of the effort of Lesadana Sokoto, which came from groundnut. There are many things we have forgotten in this country. Until of this, who knew that Zamfara is blessed with gold? So, Mr. President, any bill that will provide jobs, that will expose our potentials, that will improve the potentials we have provided, I think we should all support. So, distinguished colleagues, I so submit, Mr. President.
Anybody against the bill? Point of order, Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues. I just want Senate to be guided. This is a very important bill. Definitely, no doubt about that. But we have the Senate rule book, which guides everything that we do here. Unfortunately, I don't intend to kill this bill at all, never. Very far, Yusuf is my friend and the bill is good. 77-3, Mr. President. 77-3. No,
please, just address the chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. A compendium of background information and financial implications shall accompany every bill. The operating word there is not will. It's not will. Shall. S-H-A-L-L. That is compulsory. Let us know while debating this bill the financial implications of setting up this council. It's very, very important, Mr. President. This is our rules book. And so many of the bills that are coming here, they fall short of this particular provision. The provision is there, compulsorily. So I just want Senate to be guided, Mr. President. So where do we go from here with this good bill without the financial implication?
We go back and come.
Thank you.
Okay, let me suggest where we will go. Because as all of us have admitted, including you, that the diversification of our economy is so essential and central to the sustainability of our economy, creating employment opportunities, creating wealth, that such areas of tea and coffee production, processing and marketing will help us achieve the desired outcome. I believe that this bill can go to the next stage of public hearing if we all accept to pass it for the second reading, and before then the sponsor of the bill can bring the compendium, financial compendium you have pointed out. I will therefore urge us not to throw the baby with the bath water. That is my understanding. So I will put the question if there is nobody against the bill. Those in favor that the bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the National Tea and Coffee Development Council to develop and promote growing, production and marketing of tea and coffee in Nigeria and for other matters connected therewith 2020, SB 100, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the National Tea and Coffee Development Council to develop and promote growing, production and marketing of tea and coffee in Nigeria and for other matters connected therewith 2020 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development to report back within 4 weeks. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues, and just like I've said, this is a very important bill. We have very mighty, massive land where we can produce tea, where we can produce coffee. If we utilize and harness such environments, we can help in diversifying the Nigerian economy. So I believe that we need to do everything, and of course there is already some fund. The Natural Resource Development Fund is supposed to support such enterprises or diversifying the economy through the real sectors, agriculture, solid minerals development, and so on and so forth. So I believe that we have a way of ensuring that this bill and subsequent other bills that even Senator James Onaja will bring in the area of agriculture and so on would definitely help improve and sustain our economy. Thank you very much. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute Establishment, etc. Bill 2020. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 19 February 2020. Mr. President, we wish to invite distinguished Senator Uche Lilie Kunufe to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Senator Uche Kunufe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Netu Chelilan Ekunufe Yom. I represent Anambra Central. I'm from Anambra State. Mr. President, a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute, NIBRI, to build capacity, conduct integrated applied research and development in roads, buildings, and engineering materials sector, and for related matters. Mr. President, before I go into the bill, Mr. President, this is not a new bill. It is seeking for legal backing. It's an institution that has been in existence since 1977.
So you don't need the financial compendium? Is that what you are suggesting?
National Institute for Medical Research, Nigeria's Third Product Research Institute, and National Technology Development Center. Mr. President, this bill seeks to establish a legal framework for the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute to conduct applied integrated research and development on buildings, roads, engineering, construction, materials and methods, as well as socio-economic impacts of constructions and other environmental factors that affect building and road performances in Nigeria. Mr. President, recall that this bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 19 February 2020. It is instructive to draw your attention, Mr. President, to several cases of building collapse and failure of some infrastructural projects in the country in recent times. Most of these can be attributed to reasons such as use of substandard construction materials, poor architectural and geotechnical issues, among others. Mr. President, the objectives of this bill, among others, the bill, when enacted, will give the Institute legal impetus to confidently pursue its mandate towards addressing issues of infrastructural failures and decay in the country. In this time that global events have caused nations to look inwards for sourcing of their needs and survival, it is necessary now than ever before that Nigeria begins to work towards self-reliance in critical building materials. This can be achieved by incorporating local materials into building her infrastructures. This bill seeks to make NIBRI a key institution that will likely work towards achieving these set goals. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill recognizes the importance of collaboration among relevant project implementing agencies in monitoring, assessment, and effective utilization of research findings deployed by the Institute for the construction sector. Mr. President, the need for development of code of practice for locally produced and emerging materials for the construction sector and the need to determine the most effective and economic methods of their utilization stand out as some of the merits of this bill. The functions of the bill, Mr. President, when enacted, will, among others, enable the Institute to build capacity by carrying out research on the following areas: the suitability of or otherwise of materials for buildings, roads, and other constructions; architectural design of buildings to suit Nigerian climate conditions with particular respect to lighting, ventilation, thermal comfort, and humidity; the design and performance of functional units in buildings, including electrical installations, plumbing, painting, and drainage ventilation systems; local construction and building operations, as well as methods to increase their effectiveness; structural design of buildings and bridges, and the development of the design criteria, specifications, and codes of practices; transportation schemes, including occurrence of accidents and safety measures; geotechnical issues, including soil conditions and recommending appropriate solutions; and the system and processes for the conversion of raw materials or semi-finished materials into engineering materials of various shapes, gauges, forms, and performance. Mr. President, the Institute shall also encourage and promote the commercialization of research and development as well as innovations in the construction sector, promote the practice of research and development, and accordingly, it shall develop facilities and capabilities through its centers for research and development in building, in roads, and engineering materials, chemical materials, scientific equipment, engineering manpower, training, etc. It will also collaborate with higher educational institutions in the country and other relevant government institutions, organizations, agencies, councils, and commercial industries in the research and development of building materials. It will also develop, run, and manage modern laboratories in Nigeria for research and development in the construction sector, provide consultancy and scientific services in areas relating to building, road, and engineering materials in construction sector. Establish an academy in collaboration with other relevant bodies. Develop curricula for manpower development for the construction sector. Finally, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill, when passed, will provide a resource base and a reference center for effective control and research in the construction industry in Nigeria. It will address the issues of frequent building and construction collapse in this country. The bill, when passed, will also not attract extra financial burden on the treasury of federal government, as the institute has been in existence since 1977, as most of my colleagues here, of course, can testify. I therefore, Mr. President, crave your indulgence and the support of my colleagues to support this bill to go for second reading, knowing fully well that it's not attracting extra ₦1 in establishing it. This institution, this agency, has been in existence since 1977 and is one of the most performing agencies in this country. It has the best human capital, it has the best office, it has the best professionals and the best engineers to handle some of the issues enumerated in this bill. Mr. President, with your kind permission, I move that this is taken for second reading. Thank you.
Senator Christopher Stephen Ekpom.
Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Christopher Stephen Ekpom, representing Akwa Ibom Northwest Central District in Akwa Ibom State. Mr. President, I rise to second and support this beautiful bill brought by Senator Lilia Okunife on the need to have a bill and an act to regulate and sustain the existence of the NIBRI, what we call Nigerian Road Building Research Institute. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, while I raised my hand to speak after she has spoken, Mr. President, I happen to be opportune to be the chairman of this body, courtesy of the late President Yaradua in 2009. And I tried to see how this body could work in concern with the provision of the decree that set up this body in 1977. It was not easy because we did not have a framework, a well-defined legal framework that sets standards, sets visions for the body. So it is gratifying that one of us here have seen the need and brought about this bill. So, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, I don't think this is a bill that will take us much time to debate about or upon, because the body is already in existence. It has zonal offices in all the zones, the 6 political zones of the nation. I can name them because it was during my tenure as a chairman of this body that we set up those offices in each of the zones, and they are doing well. So all we need is a standard. So she has defined the procedure, and I want to build the indulgence of Mr. President and other members of this House chamber to consider this bill for a second reading. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there anybody against the bill? Point of order, Senator Abraham Olorogbe. Is that your seat? Okay.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my point of order is a constitutional matter, and I want to cite section 315 of the Constitution, as well as the second schedule. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, section 315 read, subject to the provision of this Constitution, an existing law shall have effect with such modification as may be necessary to bring it into conformity with the provision of this Constitution, and shall be deemed to be an act of National Assembly, that's Option A, to the extent that it is a law with respect to any matter on which National Assembly is empowered by this Constitution to make laws. Mr. President, based on the submission of the lead debater for this bill, there's an existing law for this agency. It's my submission that rather than we establishing, the appropriate bill will be to amend the existing law. The second part of my submission, Mr. President, is that the subject matter of this law, yes, it was made on a military regime when we have a semi-unitary thing, are some matters that are concurrent with the state House of Assembly, because the issue of building and other issues that it raised, the state also do have power to legislate on it. So my two thing is that the bill should be to amend the existing law, not to establish, because it's already an established institution. The second one is that in terms of what will be legislated upon, it should take cognizance of the power of the state on that subject matter. I so submit, Mr. President.
Is anybody against the bill? Can you respond, please?
Mr. President, I listened to him very carefully, but I started from when I started leading the debate, that this is not a new agency. It is Decree 1977 established this particular agency. It's been in existence. So I don't see how I'll go into amending the decree, because it was not act of the Parliament that established it.
No. Any decree from 1999 has become an act of Parliament.
Decree 1977 to reenact another one. When we get to the public hearing, during the consideration, all those amendments can come up, Mr. President. But I want to seek your indulgence to permit this to go. All the technical issues will be handled at the committee level, Mr. President, I so submit. But when it comes to the overlapping function, like he rightly said, so many agencies have overlapping functions, one way or the other.
No, I think the issue, the way I understand it, is we need to repeal, if you are coming up with a new one, new bill entirely, new law, then we need to repeal that act that we refer to as military. It's no more military, it's now considered as an act of the National Assembly.
That's the amendment of... So we'll give you the legal framework when we get to the committee level, sir.
Any more? Because what I feel we should have done is right at the beginning to repeal or reenact. But the way it is like there is no...
What I'm saying, Mr. President, I listened to what you said and I adopted it, that we are repealing the Decree 1977.
But you are not repealing from your bill. Senator Betty Epiafi.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Betty Epiafi. I represent Rivers West Senatorial District. Mr. President, I want to move an amendment. I'd like to move that the bill that Senator Uche Kunife had just presented should now read as a repeal and reenactment of an act to establish the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute to build capacity and conduct integrated applied research and development in roads, building, and engineering materials sector, and for other related matters. I so move.
Distinguished colleagues, is there any more contribution on this? Because our lawyers, I think we can pass the bill for second reading, and then when it goes to, okay, those in favor, is there anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute to build capacity, conduct integrated applied research and development in roads, buildings and engineering materials sector and for related matters 2020, SB 333, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute to build capacity, conduct integrated applied research and development in roads, buildings and engineering materials sectors and for related matters 2020 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Science and Technology to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the second reading of the National Maternal and Perinatal Death Surveillance Bill 2020. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 3rd December 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Ibrahim Yahya Oloregbe to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Senator Ibrahim Yahya Oloregbe.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to present the lead debate on a bill for an act to provide for effective surveillance, review, and prevention of maternal and perinatal death and related matters for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill is for an act to provide for effective gathering, that is a surveillance, review and prevention of maternal and perinatal death and its usage to strategically guide decisions on the public health of the nation and monitoring the impact of these interventions for necessary action. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, before I proceed with the course of the bill, permit me to provide us with little background of the Act. As the leader has just said, the bill was read for the first time on the 3rd day of December 2020. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, maternal death is defined by the World Health Organization as the death of a woman while pregnant or within 42 days of termination of the pregnancy, irrespective of the duration and site of the pregnancy. Site means the pregnancy may be within the womb or outside the womb, that is if it's ectopic, from any cause related to or aggrieved by the pregnancy or its management, but not from any accidental or incidental causes. These causes range from severe bleeding to obstructed labor, for which there are highly effective interventions. As women have gained access to effective and quality antenatal care and skilled birth attendants, with backdrop emergency obstetric care, the global maternal mortality ratio has fallen from 385 maternal deaths per 1,000 live births in 1990 to 216 deaths per 1,000 live births in 2015. And many countries have halved their maternal death rate in the last 10 years. Sadly, in Nigeria, the rate of maternal death is still very high. According to the National Demographic and Health Survey 2018, the current maternal and neonatal mortality rate in Nigeria is 512 per 100,000 live births and 39 per 1,000 live births, respectively. These rates are unacceptably too high, and therefore there's a need for all stakeholders to continue to support the effort to accelerate the reduction of maternal and neonatal mortality. Although attempts have been made in reducing maternal mortality, there's much room for improvement, particularly in our country, which is in progress, so that's Nigeria. Over 85% of maternal deaths are from impoverished community in Africa. The effect of a mother's death results in untold effect on the families, on the community, and the nation. The infants of such mothers that died from either childbirth or from pregnancy-related complications, if they survive, are more likely to die from reaching their before they reach their second birthday. However, despite this high rate that we have quoted, Nigeria does not have a unified data for the surveillance of maternal death to track causes of this death and subsequently prevent it. Neonatal mortality refers to the death of a live-born baby within the first 28 days of life. Early neonatal death refers to the death of a live-born baby within the first 7 days of life, while late neonatal death refers to death after 7 days until the 28 days of life. Neonatal mortality is affected by the quality of in-hospital care for the newborn. Neonatal mortality and post-neonatal mortality, that is one covering the remaining 11 years of the first life, are reflected in infant mortality rate. Perinatal death refers to death of fetus or neonate and is the basis to calculate the perinatal mortality. The perinatal mortality rate is the number of perinatal deaths per 1,000 live births. It is usually reported on an annual basis. It is a major marker to assess the quality of healthcare delivery of any country. Comparison between different rates may be hampered by varying definitions, registration bias, and differences in the underlying risk of the population. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, maternal and perinatal death surveillance and response process is a form of continuous surveillance, which is the monitoring, that links the health information system and quality improvement process from the local to national level. And this includes routine identification of all maternal and perinatal deaths, notification and reporting, quantification, determination of causes, and the use of this information to respond with action for better outcome. Adopting the maternal and perinatal death surveillance and response process, which is a veritable process of identifying both direct and indirect factors of the death, will enhance the effort at preventing further deaths and provide more quality. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, against this background, this bill is proposed to eliminate preventable maternal and perinatal deaths in Nigeria. The key objectives of the bill include to notify and collect accurate data on all maternal and perinatal deaths in the country, to analyze and interpret such data, to use the data to make evidence-based recommendation for action to decrease maternal and perinatal mortality, to disseminate the findings and recommendations to decision makers, policy makers, civil societies, and health personnel, so as to increase awareness about the magnitude, the social effect, and preventability of maternal and perinatal mortality, to inform on the program on the effectiveness of interventions and their impact on maternal and perinatal mortality, including feedback, to allocate resources more effectively and efficiently by identifying specific needs, and to enhance accountability for maternal and perinatal death, as well as civic registration and vital statistics, to improve maternal and perinatal mortality statistics and move towards attaining complete civil registration and vital statistics recording, and to guide and prioritize research related to maternal and perinatal mortality. It should also be noted that no additional resources is required for the implementation of this bill, as no new agencies is being created by the bill. The implementation of all these actions will be by existing agencies within Federal Ministry of Health. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I humbly urge us to support this legislative proposal by approving the second reading of the bill. Thank you all for your kind attention.
Senator Sadiq Suleiman.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I am Sadiq Suleiman Umar. I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I rise to support that the bill of maternal and perinatal death surveillance and response bill 2020 be read for the second time. Mr. President, I support this bill because the maternal and perinatal deaths in this country is at an unacceptable level. Globally, this has reduced to 216 maternal mortality, but we are still at 512 in this country. And these deaths affect the poor primarily. And as we are all seated here, we all have the poor in our constituencies. The comfortable do not know much about maternal and prenatal deaths. They have no idea what it involves. Therefore, Mr. President, to achieve our goal by 2030, beg your pardon, we have to have a data that is properly interpreted, that informs decision-making, policies, implementation of programs, efficient utilization of resources, and general improvement of the health care to our people, especially the poor in our communities. And we are the major stakeholders in protecting the poor in this country. I therefore urge us all for this bill to be read for the second time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the effective surveillance, review and prevention of maternal and prenatal deaths and related matters for the Federal Republic of Nigeria 2020, SB 581, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for effective surveillance, review and prevention of maternal and perinatal deaths and related matters for the Federal Republic of Nigeria 2020, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Health to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the second reading of the National Human Rights Commission Act N46 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 2nd December 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Michael Opeyemi Bamidele.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am Michael Opeyemi Bamidele. I represent Ekiti Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, kindly please permit me to lead the debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to repeal the National Human Rights Commission Act, Cap N46, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 as amended, and enact the National Human Rights Commission Act 2020. You will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 2nd December 2020. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to repeal the National Human Rights Commission Act, Cap N46, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 as amended, and enact the National Human Rights Commission Bill 2020 to strengthen the Commission to conduct investigations and sustain contributions to the Human Rights Fund for human rights activities in Nigeria. The bill also seeks to correct the following inconsistencies in the Act, which have affected the day-to-day and effective operations and discharge of the Commission's mandate. The need for this legislative action has also become necessary. The areas of inconsistencies that necessitated the proposed legislation being sought for by the Commission are indicated below. 1. The amendments in section 6 of the bill relate to approvals to obtain evidence for daily investigation of complaints of human rights violations. The chairman and other board members are appointed on part-time basis and only attend meetings once in a month or as may be necessary. Therefore, the chairman is not present on daily basis to attend to the daily needs of the secretariat, to give approval to obtain evidence, to aid investigation of complaints, and this has been delaying investigations by the Commission. If this function is performed by the Executive Secretary, who oversees the Commission on daily basis, it will reduce investigation time for complaints of human rights violations. Amendments to Section 7 relate to clarity in enumerating and itemizing the functions of the Executive Secretary, which was hitherto lumped together. The amendment to Section 15 relates to provision for funding of the Human Rights Fund created by the 2010 Amendment Act, which has not yet been resourced due to lack of clarity of what relevant stakeholders should contribute to the Human Rights Fund. The growing insecurity, sexual and gender-based violence, EndSARS protests, and other unforeseen human rights violations make the resourcing of the Human Rights Fund inevitable to cope with such unplanned human rights challenges in the country. Again, human rights challenges affect everyone, and the government alone should not be left to fund investigations for human rights violations. Government funding presently is not enough, and other stakeholders have a stake to ensure the Commission has a steady and reliable resource to perform its duties even in times of sudden violations. Amendment to Section 16, subsection 1 provide for the budget of the Commission in this regard to be approved by the National Assembly, and other sundry amendments in Section 18 relate to using the word Commission in place of the word Council to make for more flexibility in discharging the mandate of the Commission and being of prompt service to the populace. In conclusion, Mr. President and my respected colleagues, this is a very straightforward bill that seeks to correct observable drafting errors in the Act and bring it in conformity with international best practice standard. I therefore urge my respected colleagues to support that this bill be read the second time and referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues.
Senator Ibrahim Gober, can you say something? Human right. I thought you raised your hand. Okay, minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I very much support these amendments as proposed by our friend Okwemi, and I say that in the absence of any further discussions, that we may just take this bill to the second reading. I say submit.
Is there anybody against the bill? Those in favor that the bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the National Human Rights Commission Act N46 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact the National Human Rights Commission Act 2020 to strengthen the Commission to conduct investigations and sustain contribution to the Human Rights Fund for human rights activities in Nigeria and for related matters 2020, SB 586, second reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the National Human Rights Commission Act N46 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact the National Human Rights Commission Act 2020 to strengthen the Commission to conduct investigations and sustain contributions to the Human Rights Fund for human rights activities in Nigeria and for related matters 2020, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The sixth order of the day is the second reading of the Nigerian Arabic Language Village Gala Establishment etc. Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 18 February 2020. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Kashim Shettima to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
The subject, Senator Kashim Shettima.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My honor to lead the lead debate on the Nigeria Arabic Language Village Bill 2020 SB 331. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill was read for the first time on the floor of the Senate on Tuesday, 18th February 2020. The Nigeria Arabic Language Village was established in 1991 with a vision to empower all persons irrespective of age, culture, creed or sex with appropriate communication skills in the effective use of Arabic language at both professional and interpersonal levels, and a mission to develop as an outstanding center of excellence for the study, research and development of Arabic, using skilled and innovative personnel and applying appropriate modern technology and teaching methodology to foster a culture of transnational bilingualism for nation building, regional integration as well as international cooperation and understanding. The Nigeria Arabic Language Village is an inter-university center for Arabic language studies located along the Borno-Ngala Expressway about 5 kilometers to Cameroon. The institution, which is operating under the ambit of the National Universities Commission, was established by the federal government of Nigeria as a result of the economic and political imperative of finding a domestic alternative to the statutory Arabic one-year abroad program, hitherto held either in Egypt in North Africa or in one of the Arab countries in the sub-region. The economic downturn of the 80s, coupled with the devaluation of the national currency, had made students' participation in the one-year program abroad extremely expensive and unbearable to parents and sponsors, and this is much so now. Neither the government nor the parents could adequately source for foreign exchange to keep the students abroad for one full academic year. The effect of this predicament to Arabic studies in Nigeria was most damaging. In the face of these difficulties, government being concerned of the need to encourage the study of Arabic in Nigeria set up various committees to find an acceptable and efficient alternative to the Arabic Year Abroad program, which led to the establishment of the Nigeria Arabic Language Village in 1991. A strategic factor in the establishment of the village in Ghana is the fact that Shua Arab is the dominant language in the area. the local governments of Ngara, where the school is located, and neighboring Kala Belge share a common border with northern Cameroon and by extension the Republic of Chad, all of whom are Shua Arabic-speaking communities. This will impact positively on the proficiency of the students and participants, as it will enhance their fluency in spoken Arabic. The village provides the mandatory year-long language immersion program for all undergraduates of Arabic language studies in Nigerian universities and 3 months for colleges of education. In addition to the above, the village has been an active teaching, learning, immersion and acculturation center for the study of Arabic to all Nigerians, regardless of age and status. The administrative activities of the village took up in May 1991. The village premises was officially handed over to the then Minister of Education in the same year. The village received their first set of students for the academic year on January 6, 1995. The programs include the mandatory language immersion program for 300 level University Arabic students, and a acculturation program for 200 level colleges of education students, including private colleges of education. It also offers pre-diploma program, full-time diploma and part-time programs respectively, as well as proficiency certificate program, special intensive programs for individuals, professionals and corporate bodies, and holiday camps for secondary school students. Over the years, it has trained over 40,000 students from 6 universities and over 40 colleges of education, including private colleges of education and hundreds of other categories of Nigerian learners. The village has also organized workshops and refresher courses for about 561 teachers across the Federation, as well as hundreds of personnel from ministries, parastatals and private companies. Apart from the fact that students who undergo their language immersion course in the Arabic village exhibit clearly higher levels of competence in Arabic language after their immersion program compared to the few who still travel out of the country for the same program. The establishment of the Arabic village has saved the nation millions of dollars in forests. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, with so much achievement recorded within the 26 years of its existence, the Nigeria Arabic Language Village needs a legal instrument to, 1, to continue providing the very successful immersion program for Nigerian universities, colleges of education, and the general public. 2, to carry out legally binding transactions both locally and internationally. 3, to allow the institution to collaborate with other international organizations and also attract funding from international donor agencies. 4, to make it an autonomous legal entity operating within the laws of the Federation. And 5, to increase confidence and trust in the stakeholders, including universities, the colleges of education, and other users of the institution. Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, the village has been actively involved in teaching, research, publications, and documentation. It has also served as a think tank or consultant to the government, as well as interested individuals and bodies on issues relating to Arabic as a teaching subject and as a medium of transnational and transcultural communication for business, interpersonal relationships, and professional needs. In line with Order 77.3 of the Senate Standing Order 2015, this bill will come at no extra cost to the government, since it is an existing institution and is daily captured in government expenditure in the year out since its establishment in 1991. I therefore urge my colleagues to support this bill and give the village an enabling act. Thank you, Your Excellency, distinguished.
Senator Ibrahim Lagobi.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues. I rise to second this bill ably presented by Dr. Kashim Shatima of Borno Central. The bill is a very important bill. In fact, it is exactly the same bill, or similar to the one that was presented by Solomon Olamilekum, one French village, Nigeria French village in Badagry. In fact, this is just to give it a legal framework because it has been in existence since 1991. And I remember many students have actually attended this school and they came out very good and they are teaching Arabic very nicely. So currently people don't have to go to Cairo or Morocco or any of these Arabian countries to study Arabic, because those people are very good. They teach Arabic very nicely. If you go there and spend about 2 to 3 weeks, by the time you come back, you will be partially speaking Arabic. So I think this is very good bill, and I don't think it's controversial. It's just to give it a legal framework, and therefore I support it. We try to give it a speedy passage. I therefore urge all my colleagues to support this bill. It's very important. Thank you.
Is there anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Nigeria Arabic Language Village as an inter-university center for Arabic studies and for other related matters 2020 SB 331, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Nigerian Arabic Language Village as an inter-university center for Arabic studies and for other related matters 2020, second reading taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and third fund to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The seventh order of the day is the second reading of the Federal Orthopedic Hospital, Kuta, Establishment etc. Bill 2020. Distinguished colleagues will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 17th December 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Sani Muhammad Musa to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Mano Samus.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand to lead on the lead debate on the Federal Orthopedic Hospital Kuta Establishment Bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, thank you for giving me the opportunity to lead the debate on this very important bill. I appreciate and I'm grateful. The bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Tuesday, 17 December 2019. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to establish the Federal Orthopedic Hospital, Kuta, Niger State. The establishment of this institution is informed by importance of care for patients' health. This field of medicine has become much more complex, which has forced doctors to be extremely specialized. One of the least known professions is orthopedics. Patients should understand the importance of good orthopedic care to ensure they stay healthy. Orthopedics is the specialty of medicine that is concerned with the musculoskeletal system. This system is responsible for many important functions, including running, jumping, and even swimming. That's why the importance of maintaining a strong musculoskeletal system, most people don't give it much consideration, which inevitably leads to health complications as people age. As a result, the need for orthopedic hospitals has risen significantly in recent years. The number has increased significantly in the last few decades. It will probably continue to increase in the future as the population ages and society becomes more aware of the causes of bone and muscular problems. There are a variety of reasons that orthopedic hospitals play a crucial role in improving patients' health. Here are some of the most common health problems that they help address. 1. diagnosis and treatment from traumatic events such as falls and car accidents, and of recent, the injuries as a result of the banditry and gunshots that have been afflicted on our people. Repetitive sport injuries, degeneration of bones, and bone cancer. These problems are becoming more frequent over time, which is forcing people to seek state-of-the-art treatment options. The role of orthopedic hospitals will play an ever more important role in the medical profession. The Federal Orthopedic Hospital Kuta, when established, will offer comprehensive orthopedic care for joint replacements, fractures, joint pain, sports injuries, arthritis, and other injuries and conditions, in addition to minimally invasive and advanced surgical procedures. It will also offer a new approach to healthcare that focuses on compassionate, personalized attention for every patient and the very best specialists and advanced treatments in the orthopedic field. This bill is a response to the cries of my constituents, especially those in densely populated areas whose daily watch helplessly their wards suffer pains due to lack of well-equipped orthopedic hospitals. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, many Nigerian communities suffer from severe pains of the bones and other related ailments due to the distance between the communities and tertiary healthcare institutions. Patients cannot access specialist hospitals where their ailments can be properly diagnosed and adequate treatment given. Densely populated urban and rural communities are worst hit. Their poor economic situation makes resort to patronizing private hospitals near impossible. The Federal Medical Center, like its counterparts around the world, is envisioned as a multidisciplinary space for treatment, research, harnessing science, and developing innovative means of tackling the numerous health challenges bedeviling the nation. Additionally, when established, the center will perform the following functions: to equip, maintain, and operate the hospital so as to provide facilities for diagnosis, preventive, curative, and rehabilitative service in medical treatment, to support and provide enabling environment for medical training of personnel as the board may consider necessary, to run an effective and cost-effective medical services to Nigerians, and to review and update medical findings and research from time to time. When the bill is passed, assented to by Mr. President, the hospital will provide services in specialized areas like diagnosis and treatment from traumatic events, such as falls and car accidents and repetitive sports injuries, degeneration of the bones and bone cancer, and other fields of medicine that may be required by Nigerians. I therefore urge Mr. President and my fellow distinguished colleagues to take a giant step in the right direction by supporting this bill for second reading and also backing its accelerated passage. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, in line with Order 77, subsection 3 of our standing rules, the financial compendium is hereby attached. I urge you all to support this bill for the second reading. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Sirajuddin Ajibola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleague, I'm Dr. Sirajuddin Ajibola Bashiru. I represent Osun Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, it's my pleasure to second this very important motion, and I think there is no need to further elaborate. Health, he said, to be wealth, and looking at the peculiarities, making necessary justification for this, I think we should not waste more time than to allow this bill for second reading. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there anybody against the bill? Those in favor that the bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal Orthopedic Hospital Kuta and for related matters 2020-279, second reading.
for an act to provide to establish the Federal Orthopedic Hospital, Kuta, and for related matters 2020 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Health to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The eighth order of the day is the second reading of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2020. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 7th of October 2020, and it is listed on the order paper for the purpose of second reading and referral. In keeping with the tradition, I move that the bill be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Betty Jocelyn Apiafi.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Betty Apiafi. I represent Rivers West Senatorial District. Mr. President, thank you for giving me the opportunity and yielded the floor to me to present a constitutional amendment that affects the federal character law. I will start by reading section 14 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic as amended. Section 14(3) of the Constitution states that the composition of the government of the Federation or any of its agencies and the conduct of its affairs shall be carried out in such a manner as to reflect the federal character of Nigeria and the need to promote national unity and also to command national loyalty, thereby ensuring that there shall be no predominance of persons from a few states or from a few ethnic or other sectional.
Distinguished Senator Betty Apiafi, well, there is no lead debate, and actually there is no need for the lead debate. This is supposed to be referred to the Committee on Review of the Constitution. And in fact, you are the only one without your document, so I will save you the trouble of going further. If you wish to say that, please, the Committee on Constitution Review should work assiduously to include this your thing and get it passed, you may say so, and then I ask the minority leader to second the motion for referral.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. What the amendment we are seeking is to include the sex of people in.
No, we understand that one, and the chairman of the committee said you are a member of the Constitution Review Committee. I will call out all the ladies in the Senate are members. So I think you should take your campaign to the State House of Assembly. You have already done with the National Assembly. No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Other issues in the federal character law.
Thank you very much. Minority leader will second the motion for referral moved by the Senate leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. President, I second the motion ably moved by the Senate leader.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion moved by the Senate leader and seconded by the minority leader, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to alter the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to provide for the federal character and for related matters 2020 SB 514 second reading.
A bill for an act to alter the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to provide for the federal character and for related matters 2020. Second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Constitutional Review. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The ninth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the Conference Committee report on the 2021-2023 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, MTEF, and Fiscal Strategy Paper, FSP. Distinguished senators will recall that the Senate and the House passed different versions of the 2021-2023 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, MTEF, and Fiscal Strategy Paper, FSP. The Conference Committee of both houses have met and harmonized the differences in accordance with Senate Standing Order 88. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Solomon Adjola to move the motion for the Senate to consider the conference report.
Distinguished Senator Adjola Solomon Olamiloko, Lagos West.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleague. May I move that the Senate do receive the report of the harmonized conference report of the Joint Committee on Senate and House of Representatives on the 2021-2023 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I so move.
Yes, Senator Sanusa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohammed Sani Musa. I stand to second that the Chairman Finance Committee should present the report, the harmonized conference report of the Joint Committee of Senate and House of Representatives on the 2021-2023 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, MTEF, and Fiscal Strategy Paper, I so submit.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate receives and considers the report of our Committee on Finance, say aye. Those against, any the ayes have it. Chairman, may I report. Chairman, you may present the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleague. Following the discrepancies between the Senate and the House of Representatives on the 2021-2023 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper, the two chambers appointed conferee to examine the differences. The Joint Committee harmonized the differences and made the recommendation herein for consideration and adoption by the Senate and the House of Representatives. Membership as attached, and recommendation, the conferee, after due deliberation, recommend the following: the daily crude oil production of 1.86 million per barrel per day, the benchmark oil price of $40 per barrel per day, the exchange rate of 379, the GDP growth rate of 3.0, inflation growth rate of 11.95, the FDI retail revenue of 7.99 trillion, total FDI expenditure proposed 13.58 trillion, the fiscal deficit of 5.60 trillion, the net borrowing of 4.28 trillion, the statutory transfer of 484.4 billion, the debt service of 3.12 trillion, the sinking fund of 220 billion, the pension gratuity and retiree benefit of 520.6 billion, the total gain expenditure of 13.58 trillion, the total recurring non-debt 5.66 trillion, the personnel cost MDA of 3.05 trillion, the capital expenditure of 3.58 trillion, the special intervention recurrent of 350 billion, and special intervention capital 20 billion and capital of 20 billion. Conclusion, the joint conference committee expressed appreciation to the leadership of the Senate and the House of Reps and the entire members for this opportunity to serve. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Any comments? Okay, this is a harmonized report, so there is nothing, it's just to, so those in favor that the Senate do approve the conference committee report on the 2021-2023 medium-term expenditure framework (MTEF) and fiscal strategy paper (FSP), say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. I'm sure we have some unattended functions outside of the chamber. And I think given the fact that we are coming back here on Monday, we should go and attend to those committee activities and other things that we need to do. So I would call on the Senate leader to stand down the consideration of other items, order paper till another legislative day. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in view of the fact that we have other legislative activities to carry out, prelude to our meeting on Monday to consider the budget, I move that we stand down other items on the other paper. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that we stand down the consideration of all other items in the order paper till another legislative day, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Motion for adjournment till Monday, 21st.
Thank you, Mr. President. In view of the fact that we have concluded the items on the agenda, I move that this Senate adjourn till Monday. What is the date of Monday now? 21st of December 2020. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will have been very reluctant, but I wholeheartedly support, because we have a big duty in front of us to pass the budget for the federal government, and therefore I support the motion that we adjourn to the 21st of December 2020.
Thank you very much, Minority Leader. This is not the first time you will reluctantly second the motion moved by the Senate Leader. We'll be very happy to always have you on board, so long as you second at the end of the day, whether reluctantly or not. Distinguished colleagues, before I put on the question, let me remind us that Monday is a special day for us. We are going to hold a special session to consider and pass the 2021 appropriation bill. This is because we couldn't do that yesterday nor today, and because we are moving closer to Christmas, we believe that our colleagues would need to travel to their constituencies. The budget cannot wait, and therefore we'll make this sacrifice of sitting on Monday, the 21st day of December 2020, for the sole purpose of passing the budget 2021 by the grace of God. And we believe that we are to add value to the development of our economy. If we don't pass the budget, for example, before the end of the year and the President signs in good time, that would affect the economy like we've said before. But we did that last year and it has supported the economy. And we will repeat it by Monday by the grace of God, and we hope that the President is able to sign it into law before the end of the year. And that will allow for implementation of the 2021 budget to start immediately. The economy will feel the impact in a very positive way that funds from public expenditure will circulate in the economic system, and that is going to be a tremendous help and tonic for the economy to avoid or maybe reduce, minimize the recent recession that we have experienced when our economy grew by minus 3.2%. And I want to thank all of you for this sacrifice. And with this, I'll put the question, those in favor that this Senate sits on Monday, the 21st day of December 2020, say aye. At 10 a.m. prompt, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned till Monday, 21st December 2020 at 10 a.m. prompt.